So this story happened about 11 years ago. I was a senior in high school at the time, but it is the most single mind-boggling thing that I have ever experienced. It's also important to note that it happened in mid-December. I'm from Iowa, and the winters here get cold at night. Like if you get stuck outside, you will die kind of cold. That, plus the snowfall, makes everything dead silent. You can hear anything and everything inside the house, and even immediately outside of it. Well, me and my best friend were hanging out in my family's walkout basement, just having a boring winter night playing video games. We were also the only ones home. The reason it was just us is because my mother went from work straight to a bar to grab a few drinks with coworkers. So me and my friend thought it would be a good idea to break into the family wine and live a little. As we were sitting there opening up the first bottle, I heard the door to the garage open and slam shut. I immediately went, "Oh shit," and started looking for places to hide the bottle. My friend then says, "I thought you said your mom was supposed to be out all night." "She was," I replied. I then heard a few heavy stomps and heard my mother yell out, "Anyone home?" I yelled back up the stairs, "Yep, just hanging out in the basement." I hear a few more steps move from the garage door towards the stairs, and she yells out again, "Can you come help me with something? I need you up here." I reply back while frantically trying to find a good place to hide the wine bottle. "Yup, just give me a minute." Then there was silence for about 20 seconds. "Anyone down there with you?" she yelled back, in a more concerned, serious tone, in a voice that was slightly off of my mother's. This was the first thing that told me something wasn't right. Our family never cared if anyone was over, as our house was a very open house to all family and friends. And the voice, it was just wrong. Like, it sounded like my mother's, but it was missing something that I couldn't put my finger on. Weirded out, I replied back, "Just Colton." After I yelled that back to her, I found a good place to hide the bottle and began walking up the steps to the next level. Now, as I was walking up the steps, I couldn't help but feel the overbearing silence of the house and a slight electric twinge that something isn't right. When I got to the top of the steps, I looked over to where the door to the garage is and also the kitchen right next to it, and it's black, pitch black. All of the lights were off, and there was no moonlight shining through any windows. I walked over to the kitchen yelling out, "Mom, where are you?" There was no reply, just silence and darkness. I feel the electric twinge turn into full needles and my adrenaline kicking in full force. I have to get out of here as fast as possible. My mother was not home. I run back down the stairs, grabbing my coat along the way. "What's wrong?" Colton says. "My mom's not home," I reply as fast as I can, looking for my truck keys. "What do you mean? You were just talking with her." I could see the confusion in his face. "There's no one home. We need to leave, now." I took a few steps toward the back door that opens up to the yard, and then I see my dog shaking on the couch and my cat growling behind it. I couldn't leave them. I just knew that if we left, something would happen. "Are we leaving?" Colton said, still confused as all hell. "No, I can't leave them here alone. Something is really off. I'm gonna call my mom and figure this out." I pull out my phone and call my mom. She picks up immediately. "What's going on?" She answers, "Mom, were you just home? I heard you yelling for me from the second level, and when I went up, you weren't there," I said frantically, hoping that she was playing a joke. "No, I'm just leaving the bar. I wasn't feeling very well. Are you okay? What do you mean you heard me?" I fill her in on the whole story, and she rushes home. Colton and I stayed in the basement with the animals until she got home. But before she did, you could hear something upstairs. Not walking or sitting on things, but a pressure in the air. Like a black hole was slowly moving from one room to the next. And the word that I would instinctively describe it as is hungry. When she got home, you could feel the thing leave just as quick as it came, like an overbearing predatory presence had just flown away. We still have never figured out what the hell was going on. And this is just one story of many unexplainable things that have happened to us, but this is the easiest to write down, and one that I was happy to have a witness to. My mother has passed away now, and I have moved away to Arizona. But whenever I go back to Iowa and I see Colton, he still gets creeped out by what had happened. I will never truly know what happened, but I know that whatever it was that had my mother's voice, it was evil, and it was hungry. This just happened, and I'm still pretty shaken up by it all. But this evening, whilst putting away some clothes in my closet, I noticed the entry point to my attic had been disturbed and set ajar. I live in a condo with my wife and child. Our master bedroom has a walk-in closet with an access point, lid, or whatever to our attic. I don't believe the attic connects with any other condo, but we do share walls with neighbors on both sides. As I was folding and putting away laundry this evening, my wife walked in from the connecting bathroom. Our master bedroom's bathroom connects directly across from the walk-in closet, so they face entryways, and went to ask me something when she gasped and said, "Look up." My blood turned cold immediately. There it was. The entry point drywall lid was lifted out of place and set ajar. She had been giving our child a bath at the same time, basically right there, and I froze for a moment, not knowing exactly how to handle the situation. I got a hold of myself and dialed 911 while my wife and child went downstairs in a hurry. She got the both of them ready while I stayed on guard, watching the entry to the attic crawl space. Police showed up after what felt like an eternity and checked up there, but couldn't find anything. No signs of forced entry, etc. Just an obviously lifted up and placed ajar crawl space cover. Now, I'm here alone, wondering if we overreacted or what the fuck exactly happened. Somebody or something moved that lid, door, cover, or whatever you want to call it. It wasn't bumped or hit by myself or my wife, and my child is not able to get anywhere near the access point. The creepiest part or thing that bothers me the most is I don't know if it was moved from inside the attic or from my closet below. Police said the drywall that connects up there wasn't broken or cut open. Again, I live in a condo with neighbors on both sides, and there were no signs of disturbed fiberglass near the entry or around my closet, so no one was obviously crawling around or messing shit up at least. I'm seriously thinking about somehow placing a lock on the entry point, but I'm not good with that kind of handiwork and wouldn't even know how to begin cutting or making a sturdier lid access to even try to put a lock on one. I know this might not be considered paranormal to most, but I had a dream about a similar situation a couple weeks to a month ago. In my dream, a woman called me seemingly on a random day and said bluntly, "Is there someone inside your house?" I panicked and rushed everyone in my house out the door. I had my wife out front with my kid, but I also had other family members over that day, so not exactly the same situation. And I can't remember if we found anyone or anything that day in my dream either. It's been a strange night to say the least. Thanks for reading, and any advice on my situation would be greatly appreciated. Last night, my girlfriend, sister, and I went down to the river beach near my college. My girlfriend and I do this frequently, And yesterday, my younger sister came up to visit for the night, so we decided to take her down to the little beach on the side of the river that runs through campus to have a fire and hang out. When walking out to the beach, there's about a 10 to 15 minute walk through the woods. When walking down to the beach, we stayed on the trail and had no issues at all. We hung out on the beach for about an hour and a half before we decided we wanted to head back and watch a movie in me and my girlfriend's dorm. When walking back, we happened to lose the trail as everything was covered in leaves. An important aspect of this story is that there is a clearing where power lines run almost halfway between the beach and the street at the beginning of the trail. This clearing consists of tall grass and pricker bushes that make it difficult to cross if not on the one trail through it. A little while before this clearing, we lost the trail. We had the idea to walk straight in the direction of the clearing, and once we found it, we would walk alongside it until we found the cut-through trail. Now, it was dark, so we all had our phone flashlights on, and my little sister was even playing music on her phone. We found the clearing and started walking along the side of it, trying to find the trail. My girlfriend was a few feet behind my sister and I, when over the music my sister was playing, I heard a branch snap coming from deeper in the woods. I told my sister to turn off her music and began scanning the area I thought I heard the noise come from with my light. At first I didn't see anything, and when my girlfriend asked me what it was, I said nothing and continued trying to find the trail. I was still slightly uneasy, so I continued scanning the direction I heard the noise come from with my light. I noticed something white with what appeared to be ears standing very still in the direction I heard the noise come from. I couldn't tell if it was some type of animal or just something that looked like an animal. I didn't say anything for a second because I assumed my eyes were playing tricks on me, as I couldn't see any eyes reflecting my light. This thing was about 15 to 20 feet away, so I assumed if it was an animal, I would see its eyes reflecting my light. It was also standing very still, so I believed my eyes were playing tricks on me. I moved my light for a second to continue looking for the trail, and when I shined it back in the direction of that thing, I saw it violently swaying back and forth. I said, "What the fuck is that?" and turned around when my sister looked and screamed, "Why is it moving like that?" I have never heard my sister sound so scared, so I yelled to my girlfriend and sister to run. We ran straight through the tall grass and pricker bushes until we came out the other side. My sister fell and lost both of her shoes. I helped her up and told her to forget the shoes, and we all continued running in the direction we believed the trail to be. Thankfully, we eventually found the trail again and didn't stop running until we got out of the woods. When we got back on the street, we all calmed down and began talking about what we saw. I saw it first and knew something was off when I saw it swaying back and forth. It was very unnatural, and I can only describe it as it looked limp, sort of like a slinky. It didn't look like something a human could do. My girlfriend and sister saw it after I turned away to look for the way out. They both said it began charging at us, and it was still swaying like that while coming at us. This was unbeknownst to me at the time. I never saw it charge at us, so learning this information made it even scarier. Even weirder, we all never saw its face and couldn't fully make out its shape. My girlfriend and sister both said it was running on two legs and was upright like a person, but was moving in a way that didn't seem possible for someone to move. The whole thing doesn't make any sense, and we've been trying to explain it ever since it happened, but no scenario we can think of makes any sense. To make it even scarier, my girlfriend mentioned how when we first got to the beach, she heard someone walking in the woods behind her, as my sister and I were busy getting the fire started. This could be totally unrelated, but the thought of this person or thing watching us the whole time we were there really freaked us out. If anyone has any idea what this might have been, please feel free to share your insight, as we are all completely stumped. Hey guys, have been a long reader of this thread, but never posted. Thought I would share an experience that happened to me about 7 years ago. I grew up in a small rural town in Western Australia, and after high school, many kids, including myself, will make the move to the city of Perth to seek opportunities and study. I had just moved into a new house in Perth with a high school buddy, not too far from our uni campus. The house was pretty grody, but being 19 and having newfound freedom, we didn't really care. The house was a double story, and I had a room upstairs. Often university classes would only go for a few hours each day, so I spent a lot of time at home studying and chilling out. Anyway, one day I was having a sleep in the afternoon on my bed when I heard a huge crash downstairs. I immediately presumed one of my roommates had dropped a plate on the tiles downstairs. I remember thinking it was a little odd at the time, as normally, if it was a weekday, I was home alone. A few seconds later, I start to hear running all through the house and doors slamming. Still in a semi-daze, after just being woken up, I sit up on the end of my bed. I look over towards my door, and suddenly, the house is completely silent. I'm listening out to hear something when suddenly I see the door handle slowly turning. A man burst into my room. Immediately, my first thought was that this was one of my roommate's friends who had picked the wrong room to enter. Stupid, I know, but again, I was half in a daze. We look at each other for what feels like ages, when slowly he pulls a large machete from behind his back. I immediately freaked out and just scream at the top of my lungs. This seems to alarm the man, who drops the machete and bolts out, closing the door. I immediately lock the door and call my best mate, who lives close by. He comes round with another friend of mine, and, armed with golf clubs, we search the house and find the man is gone. Turns out the smashing sound I heard was him throwing a brick through the sliding glass door to get into the house. We then call the police, who are angry with me for calling my mate and bringing him over rather than calling them straight away. Overall, I didn't even have time to be scared. Everything happened so fast. Being a bit older now, I look back and still get the chills about what could have happened to me. Thanks for reading.